Alright, what's up guys? Today we're going to be looking at my finalized Ice Gauntlet Great Axe build. I finally found the build that I think I'm going to be sticking with for the rest of the time that I play this build, unless decide to switch to another build one day. But I'm not really the type to re-roll. I like to stick to one thing. So I'm going to go through and tell you guys everything about this build from top to bottom with all the detail, because you guys had a lot of questions in my last video. So I feel like I may have failed to explain a few things. So we're going to start off with the basics. The basics about this that you got to understand, which a lot of people don't understand. So the Great Axe, in order for this build to work, you have to use an intelligence gem. An intelligence gem splits the damage in half from your Great Axe. 50% of your damage is scaled by your intelligence. So say for example, if you're using a rapier scales off dex first and then intelligence at 0.65, which is 65%. This will be 50%. So it's even lower. Not by much, but still lower scaling, right? So your Great Axe is not going to be your damage in this build. A lot of people just see Great Axe and they think, oh, Great Axe damage, Great Axe damage. In this build, Great Axe is not your damage. Ice Gauntlet is your damage. Great Axe supports the Ice Gauntlet. And that's why I love this build so much. It's because Great Axe and Ice Gauntlet complement each other so well. For example, Great Axe is melee, doesn't have any range. Ice Gauntlet has range. Uh, Great Axe has a whole bunch of CC. Ice Gauntlet has a whole bunch of CC, but the problem with Ice Gauntlet CC is it's very easy to avoid. Great Axe is not easy to avoid. So for example, Ice Storm, put Ice Storm right here, you're going to just jump out of it. It's very simple. But if I put a gravity wheel first, you can't jump out of the gravity wheel. If the gravity wheel hits you, I got a free Ice Storm. Free Ice Storm is huge for an Ice Gauntlet, and I have a free Ice Storm every 20 seconds. So that's very, very big, and that's why I love Great Axe so much. Great Axe Ice Gauntlet so much. They work with each other so well. The problem with the build that I had previously was because I was using Entomb. I've changed Entomb out with this skill, which increased my damage output dramatically. So now with my Great Axe, I have a very good combo. I do this, heavy attack to stick them in place, and this. And it pretty much does a lot of damage, especially in group play, 1v1s. It doesn't matter. It does a crap ton of damage if I hit it right. So that's why I'm sticking with that. Now, as you can see, I have 238 intelligence, 173 constitution. I'm sticking to 250 intelligence, and I'm staying there. Now, the way I got there is through this food, meatloaf. It's pretty easy to make once you get the recipe. Intelligence increased by 12, constitution by 8. So now when I use that, I have 250 and 181. Obviously, I wouldn't mind going over in intelligence, but I really want to get my constitution up a bit. I think 200 constitution would be the last tick for me, and then I probably go all in after that. I think I'm tanky enough as is. I really position myself very well. If you watch my videos, I don't really get caught out too often, and that's again because of the Great Axe. Now, a lot of people were wondering, well, you switched out Entomb for Ice Spikes. Now you have no Entomb. Well, I don't know about you, but with my Great Axe, I don't really need Entomb. I save Chase for when I am in a situation where I'm gonna die, where I would use Entomb. The problem with Entomb is, let's say someone uses gravity wheel, right? And you get caught in it. You stand right here with Entomb, and then while you're sitting in your Entomb, 50 people stand around you. I know this has happened to you guys before. And then you're just sitting there looking stupid. And then once you hop out, you dash twice, and that's it. You're dead. You're done. Whereas when I save my chase, someone throws a gravity wheel, I just dash away. So and me entombing is only making myself more dead. Now you can argue that, well, after I've successfully released the entomb, I can then dash away. But I just think that it's better to just position yourself, and the damage that you get in exchange is totally worth it. It makes the build so much better for me personally, because now I'm able to do a lot of damage. AoE, single target, I'm really able to punish people who misplay or who get caught by my gravity wheel, which is basically the whole entire point of my build. But of course, there are going to be times where you want to melee people when people get too close. When you're out of mana is when I melee people. I don't have any mana recovery passives at all, so I do rely on mana pots, which I don't mind because I have a perk on my uh, earring that gives me 8.2% of my max health when I use a mana pot. So I get health and mana every time I use a mana pot. And these pots are pretty cheap. So while it does take up a consumable slot, it doesn't really bother me that much to have to pop a mana pot. I'd rather have that instant health anyway than have two foods. Also use honing stones all the time, and then this food every 30 minutes. So let's go over the gear. I've got this Covenant. I got the Covenant Ice Gauntlet. It's pretty good. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the 8 to 9% heavy attack and light attack perk. I really want that. That's the only thing it's really missing. But for now, I think it's good enough to be a main weapon. And this great axe. Now the great axe, getting a good great axe is the hardest part of this build because you don't want to get a great axe with strength on it because strength is just wasted in this build. It doesn't do anything for you. It's not enough to make your great axe do anything. It doesn't do anything for your ice gauntlet, so it just makes you weaker. You're better off getting one with either constitution or intelligence or a mix of both, like mine. So that way you don't have any wasted stats because you don't want to waste these big stats here. So wasting stats is a really bad idea. And then, of course, you got Constitution Intelligence on everything. This one has just full Constitution, Intelligence, Constitution Intelligence. The gem for defense, I would say the best one is this one. And I might end up switching all of these with it. Because, honestly, I don't really get hit by physical damage that often. It's normally elemental damage that hits me the most where I really can't avoid it, like a fire staff or ice gauntlet. It's really hard to avoid those things all the time without wasting your stamina because you only have so much. So I think it's best to have this one. So I probably have this elemental ward. I forgot what this gem's called, but I probably put this one in all my gear. Probably as I upgrade it, I gotta do that because, or maybe a malachite. But this is just elemental just hurts me way more. Melee I don't really worry about because I can just dodge away from them. I can ice storm, ice wall, so I don't really worry about melee. So now the build once again. So I'm going to explain the build in great detail why I chose what I chose because a lot of people just don't understand why I did this. I'm going to explain it. Okay. So charge, I only use, like I said, situationally. I only use it to escape. I use it to engage sometimes, but I really don't try to do that. Since I'm light rolling all the time, I don't really need it to engage. I need it more as a disengage, like a get out of jail free button. So I really don't only use charge for that. And because of that, I don't need this because this gives you more damage and I don't use charge for damage. I don't need this because this extra attack is irrelevant to me because I'm only using it for its mobility. So that's why I only get that. I don't level up charge. Reap, I level to max. You want to level Reap to max, and Reap is a very good skill for Great Axe, especially in PvP, because it forces dodges, which is very, very good. Like if you hit someone with a Reap and this, they're gonna dodge, and they panic dodge. Sometimes they dodge twice, and then you know they have no stamina, which is like a dream for a Great Axe user. So Reap is just very good for that, for the CC alone, and it does give heal, has decent damage too. So I like Reap. Definitely say it's a must-have. And then execute. Now the reason why I have execute is mostly for PvE. I swap out gravity wheel with execute, so that I do more damage in PvE, etc., etc. But sometimes, if I wanted to, I could switch out execute with gravity wheel for 1v1 situations, or I could switch it out for reap for 1v1 situations. It just depends. But it's more so just because I like execute. I like using it. I like hitting those big numbers. You don't have to get this, but you do have to get reap. But the problem is, what these passives are really useless. Like if I didn't get execute, the only other passives I care about would be frustration, which really isn't all that great. It's all right, but it's not the end of the world. This is not good. This does nothing. This does nothing. This, when are you gonna block with a great axe? Never. And this does nothing. I mean, I'm not gonna sit with 3 people in 4 meters of me ever. So, yeah. And this is all right, I guess. But usually when I gravity wheel, I'm grappling with like a huge ball of people, and usually people don't just sit in there. I mean, I guess they can, but eh, not really the end of the world. So, like I said, these passes are not really all that great. This one's okay, I guess. This one is a must-have for the stack the grit on your heavy attacks. This is a must-have, and then this one is you have to get it in order to get down the tree. So yeah, I don't understand why people are acting like you need anything over here. You really don't. This one is all right, I guess, but it's just so situational. Great Axe doesn't really have as good passes as some other weapons in the game, but the ones that they do have that are good, like this one, and obviously Bloodlust are very, very good. So it's fine. But that's the build I'm sticking with. I'm never gonna respect this because there's no reason to. And lastly, the Ice Gauntlet build. Now, you have to get every single skill and ice spikes in order to utilize it effective to its fullest. I'm not sure if you need this or not, but I got it. I think you can get away with not getting this if you really want to save the skill point. But this you have to get. But I don't know about this one. But I got it anyway. Of course, you get Ultimate Chill. It's no brainer over this passive. Pylon is useless in PvP. You got blocking stamina. I know a lot of people prefer Quick Frost. You can use Quick Frost if you want to. Thing about me is I usually don't stand in my frost. If I do, it's because I messed up or I missed an ability or I'm just trying to peel for myself, which I don't really need movement speed in that situation anyways. I'd much rather have this block, which is very, very good. This is the most underrated block. Ice Gauntlet has the most underrated block in the game. It's a very good block. It's ridiculously good, actually. It exchanges mana for stamina. It's amazing. Ice Shower, of course, a staple skill. Must have max. Every build must have Ice Showers. I don't know what you're doing if you don't have Ice Showers max. It's a ridiculous ability. Same for Ice Storm. Must have an Ice Gauntlet. Too many abilities play off these two abilities where the entire kit just plays off these two. You can't go without them. Now, Entomb, like you can see, as you can see, I'm going without. Now, I'm not saying Entomb is not good. It definitely is a good skill. But me personally, I feel like it's more like a Berserk kind of skill. And what I mean by Berserk, for those of you who don't know, is the Hatchet. The Hatchet has a skill that allows you to go berserk, and you're CC immune, you move faster, you get health back. It's a good skill, excellent skill. Don't get me wrong, but it 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 encourages bad play habits, if you get what I'm saying. So when you got Entomb, right, you think to yourself, well, I'll just go in and do something stupid. I'll go in and dash on these guys, and I'll waste all my mobility because I have Entomb. So I could just hide in it just in case things go bad. And it just makes you, like, play worse. And I don't really like that kind of thing. Like, I like to play better. I like to position myself. I like to be like, okay, I see there's 3 guys over here. I'm going to Ice Storm here. I'm going to wall off here so they can't get to me, and then I'll do this. That's how I like to play. It's all about play style. If you want to jump in and dive into 50 people, be my guest. Also, the mana regeneration from Entombed is very good. If you're running 2 mana using weapons, you probably do need the mana recovery for Entombed, like if you're running Fire Staff, Ice Gauntlet. But I'm not doing that. I don't only have 1 mana ability, so a consumable is more than enough mana for me whenever I need it. And then the passives, like I said, the passives on the right in my last video, the passives on the right tree are just not that great. This one is useless. This one is kind of useless. I mean, it slows enemy by 25% when they hit you with a melee attack while you have 100% health. Like that's such a like situational thing that like it's not worth the skill point. This reduce active cooldowns while casting an ability in a frosted area. Casting an ability in a frosted area, meaning you have to be standing in Ice Storm, and then cast an ability to reduce all cooldowns. Which, I mean, how often are you really gonna do that, man? And I mean, I guess kind of often. I mean, this is not bad. I would pick it up. I had it before. It's not bad, but it's not a must-have by any means necessary. And neither is this. Casting an ice ability creates a ice hardened layer, granting 20% fortify for 2 seconds. Oh my god. Yeah, this is not necessary. Like these are good passes for sure, but they're not necessary at all. If you're playing this as more of a defensive weapon, then I can see why you pick those. But I'm playing this as an offensive. Like this is my damage. This is where my damage comes from. So I want the damage passive. So obviously critical frost, heavy freeze, energized critical, cold reach, all must haves. This is more for mana regen, critical, 15 minutes after critical. I think this is very good, but I don't have enough skill points for it. If I had an extra skill point, I'd definitely put it here. This one is only good for PvE because you're not really supposed to use light attacks that often in PvP. I do sometimes, but not often. Now let's go into mechanics. Ice Spikes has shown me that there are a lot of extra additional mechanics in Ice Gauntlet through this ability because it's very good for animation canceling. So let's say I hit someone with a heavy attack and then light attack. I've messed it up, but you can really do some cool stuff with that, and it really adds to the damage of the ability. It really adds to the worth of the ability. Like that. It really adds to the worth of the ability when you can chain in a whole bunch of stuff together, and it just really feels nice. And other stuff I want to let you guys know, if you don't know, with Ice Gauntlet, especially Frost Shower, you can get a wider range of radius. So let's say you're fighting the healer and the healer's just sitting in their heal, right? You can go like this. Now they can't get out of their heal unless they go right here, but they're probably gonna panic. They could probably walk through these things, but it's very hard, like in a situation where you're fighting someone where you can, slip through there. So, just being ingenuity, being smart. Ice Gauntlet is a weapon that rewards you for playing smart. Like I said, for example, if someone's chasing you, you put an ice wall down, back up, stuff like that. It's a very fun weapon, and I really enjoy this build a lot, for sure. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. Basically, now I'm at 513 gear score. Yeah, FYI, a lot of people will say I'm at 540 gear score, I'm at 550 gear score, blah blah blah. But they'll be using like trash green items that they found just to boost their gear score up. Don't listen to gear score; it's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. I could go get to 540, 550 gear score easily if I just went and bought, items that had no relevance to my build and were trash and didn't have any perks. It'll be easy. But are they this high gear score with actual gear that matters and has good perks and all that stuff? Probably not, But yeah, that's my gear score now. I'm gonna keep going forward. My major goal is getting a much stronger Ice Gauntlet. I really don't care about my armor. Like, I really don't. I think my armor's fine actually for a long time. I just want to have a really, really high level Ice Gauntlet. A legendary Ice Gauntlet schematic would be, and to work on that would be my goal. And then the Great Axe. I need a better Great Axe for sure. But it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to find a Great Axe with the stats I need. But I'm gonna work on that. But for right now, I'm very, very satisfied with my build. Might have to get a better necklace soon, but for now, it's pretty good. The ring I got right here, I got upgraded my ring. This drops from Dynasty Shipyard, and it gives you 4.5% more ice damage. So I'm gonna be wearing this ring for a very long time. I don't care about gear score because it's just so good for my build. And then this I already went over, is pretty solid as well. So that's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. I hope I covered everything. I hope you guys understand now what this build is all about. Once again, the Great Axe is just the supporting weapon. It's not the main weapon. I know it seems like a lot of you guys think that the Great Axe is supposed to be or has to be the main damage weapon. No, it's just a supporting weapon. Just think of it like a hammer. It's like a hammer or a hatchet. It supports. It's not the main damage dealer. The Ice Gauntlet is the damage dealer. The Great Axe and the Ice Gauntlet complement each other so well because the Ice Gauntlet has absolutely no mobility. The Great Axe has tons of mobility. The Ice Gauntlet has CC, but the CC requires setup. The Great Axe has tons of setup. So they just match each other perfectly. And like I said, range versus melee, and they're both AoE, and so and my Great Axe still does really good damage. Don't underestimate. Like, I hit people for like 1.5k back attacks with this thing. Like, it's not a joke. It's not something. It's not like it doesn't do any damage. You know what I mean? Just the Ice Gauntlet does way, 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 way more. If you've seen my videos, you'll see. But yeah, there's gonna be more PvP content of this build coming up. I'm getting tons and tons of PvP every day. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions at all, I'm pretty sure I covered everything you could have possibly asked, but if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the comment. Oh God, I almost forgot. Yeah, and the Ice Gauntlet use Malachite, 12% damage. This is the gem you want to use while an active crowd control status effect, slow stun root, which is pretty much 100% uptime on Ice Gauntlet unless you're just poking someone from range. So use that one. Okay. All right. That's it. You guys have a great rest of your day, and see ya.